Hi guys, welcome back. And the time now is 21 o'clock 5, and we begin this moment for today's live stream. Several updates for today because today is the Monday, and so we got the university day, and let's just do this. I have several tasks to accomplish and to fulfill my daily routine and etc. Also other things. But I can do that in more efficient way. Even there are several literatures to be read. So I feel like share with you guys very uncomfortable because today that they are saying the kitchen washback got problem, and so that it should be cleaned and somehow depolarize. And so I'm gonna figure out how to do that, but it's like the Euro problem, and I sometimes don't know how to dealing with that. For example, they all got this issue, so to say. And so let's jump into the study content. And yeah, yeah, wait. And as usual, we changed the place to live for half an hour, for half year, and so I feel like mentally settled, settled a little bit down, but they are also kind of annoying, but they are saying this is like by freezer, so you cannot think like something like forever living permission and etc. So what we are doing now is to clear a little bit the obstacles for this week and recap what is going on today on the class, because we have two classes today. And just now that the Marco professor and his doctor tried to take the middle brain part, and it is like front face and etc. That's really gave my like 2 kicks, haven't 8 by 8 today. And what our task today now is like before today ends, we kind of need submit 3 questions to the governance in China, which rooted in grass. And another course is the educational economics. And so within this course, we need to recap a little bit, and the concept course for today for review, but we got a task for today's development economics, and we have 3 literatures to read, and that's a huge amount of tasks to do. And now it's already 21 o'clock, so if we can accomplish in 1 hour, we could potentially figure out how we deal with the washback problem. Like they have polarize, right? So I have a little bit bubble underneath, and so because I really don't know how, and that 砸下去的 is not me, but another like fringe. It could be, and so we figure out how to claim that in more efficient way, and they say it's not that matters, but I was always drive for perfectness, and so I cannot tolerate it. But it is your problem. Like you set spaces for professors and his teams, like tutoring, and which have the examination evaluation process. Usually they have a long time period, and if it's like in our campus management system, and if you observe like one line, whole line, and it is not okay. Like 3 boxes, 3 question, that is not enough. Like each module have at least 10 boxes, and so you need fulfill that. And so only before the exam. Yeah, okay. So before the exam really begins, and you 一定要 come to the timing for the before, because that was the chance, right? And so there is to say that one box, if you treat that for 1 week, then it is kind of in this way. But the problem is really feel not very well, and usually I will set myself in fit state and to start. I don't want to, for example, like work for the unpleasantness or other things for myself. Like not also for myself. Like at least you do this thing and you starting from the happy state, and instead of some thing that you think that is unsolved, and you need time to digest it, time to but let's just first do the process, which is kind of to verarbeit this kind of thinking process, making the whole reading process, or process of reading more slightly more light, more happier. And yeah, welcome back, you guys, and to join my study session. And we got my classmates and bear the camera. This is not camera. That is the cam. So the video cam. That is not camera. That is the what cam? A webcam. And so that I shouldn't do that way if I really don't want to credit bad as him, but let's just presume that he gonna exist until this semester. And so meanwhile, what we still need to do is that cool, this watch turns to the OE time, and we have the real time here, and it is 9 o'clock near 15, and I still don't feel really good. I don't know reason. And recently I got several tricks, but I think that is not like my usual way. And for example, you don't watch yourself, but you look up after the comment and to say what this comment really means to you, and etc. So in this sense, we're gonna know what's the problem actually going on. Yeah, my bank account, my bank is collapsed today, and congratulations for that. I have no money now in my bank account, and so we being stuck at the 木吉无印良品 at the Europe Center, and I want to buy back what the professor bought, like a set of tea set. It is like the Jack Wright's set for the formal dinner at Oxford University, and many years ago, like 10 years ago, and finally 3 years ago we got the copy team and from the Jack Wright, and they go through all the process which I experienced, and we met at that point that was so correct. But since in that time I still not somehow in the under consciousness state, and so finally I'm back, but the back self was too normal and to show, and that's why I really don't want to exposure anymore. Just keeping the zero strategy and drive towards the 3 certain exams which be accomplished. And so So we left the things over there and took the promise like 3 to 4 days go there back to pick them up. And I was thinking, cool, that is kind of that is kind of reservation, or when you want to say that is for promise and to make this kind of purchasement. But I really don't think that the big problem is because that the purchasement was stuck at the Mujing Euro Center, but on the opposite, it is something about the Waschbecken and the thing that which which you haven't discovered before you move in, or you discovered afterwards, but the fringe was very hard to control. But for example, if you cannot control your opposite name self of your name, then you cannot really discipline yourself in any other way. And so that's a huge problem. You can not only be one side positive, like yeah, that's why. But like my name character, they have many opposite worst meaning. For example, not like French, also far and etc. So but I think that French is definition which I define to the PhD student, because they all like can only carry on some of French point. Like marginal point, and sometimes you like have 1% hope into testing where you during the years can make that happen, and in an impossible way sometimes. So that's my understanding towards PhD. And before after the fifth apartment, this kind of certain PhD road was be destroyed in some kind of way. And that's why when I currently think about, for example, PhD 博士 BS 或者是 some doctoral and position and etc. I somehow can think that I'm not mastery that, instead of to let them just automatically destroy, and I using the Professor Cornelius strategy to lesser fear them, and so that finally they are out of control and make a lot of destructive effect to my life. And how can you do that? And you cannot just deal with that in overnight. But let's try that today. Don't sleep and till down. Till down, and then your bank won't get a problem anymore. Or if of previous week and they already done something to your bank account, for example, and the even today you don't sleep and you still cannot reverse the situation anymore. This kind of feeling when you have done some life mistake, like Washbecken's fringe was a little bit waterized, and you cannot really figure out how to dealing with that. It seems like big mistake in your consciousness level, like ever while you're asleep or you are in the under consciousness level, you not allowing to do this kind of thing, and not allowing yourself to waterize the fringe of your washback of this washback to rented washback, so to say. And from my point of view, is the something that you ignored, or you take them as or they are not happening, or you ignore them, you ignore their importance, and so that these things finally make this constructive effect in your life, and this should be somehow bit repaired. And we got in the near summer to a supermarket, to market, so that better that you go there and to find a solution, and to ask them how to deal with this kind of issue, or search in the internet. And so all the potential way and to accomplish that in a positive sense, instead of to bother yourself like worrying, it doesn't help. Yeah, fine. So we got a 15 minutes, and now just drink a little bit coconut and just read. Let's first read the development economics literature. I really have a lot of things to do. I first say what is myself reading. I usually only flip over and what's actually here exists. And and usually under normal circumstance and like for example 3 years ago, and I only can read two characters at every each article. And but since two characters, I should understood what this article is about. And so it's just also even just two characters, but the meaning should be carried out, so to say, carried. And so let's just read this. I really don't want to read them for this chapter because this chapter is about fertility in the sense that which very opposites each other. And it's like the whole chapter, the very chapter was consisted about two words, and the first word is the opposite meaning to the second word. And the child fertility is one prospective thing that which the one which they expected that to happen, but they have the opposite meaning, and like they which psychic like which I got one in YouTube. And like this kind of two opposite situation is reflected each other in everything. And so let's just fast read this article. Okay, guys. We found one word is perpetrating. It's same as penetration, and it's 渗透. I really don't know what Washback's problem with link with penetration, but let's just think penetration is only to do with the dark water and to spill over from one boat to another. Whether the penetration with penetration and illiteration relevant with Washback, I really don't know. But like just think French. So that is 边缘，然后and etc. Okay, if we talk back to the white markets phono in that time, and then it could be pseudo professor, right? Similar like type of pseudo professor. Let's just say presume. Sometimes I also don't have. I cannot deal with. he eat her. So like the doll and in the in another woman statue that is also very okay. Sustainable development goal still applies, like from Professor Yuan Cope, and reproductive healthcare. I really don't think this kind of usage is addresses the reasons fertility rate and with reproductive health, together with the with this topic. I really don't think it's very. Let's just jump into 2020 and education, national strategies and programs. Um, okay. Caribbean presented seminars. One question is that the like countries, yeah, I really don't think the economic development state really differs from the countries, for example, like in East Europe. So why in the sense that they have had this region, except the cost was established in the time institute, and was that influence more if they coming from a low income country, low income background, and it is half. Like Professor Ayal said, much more impact as those who have a high income background. I somehow I don't really agree this point, but yeah, but let's see the big characteristics they have as precision criteria, cell 00852, and electricity and people's water, and that's important, like severs. Yeah, this within Karma and in the body saw this week. I want to, and I saw someone really similar type as Dr. Ashley Pepper, and she yeah, people was so relevant with the washback, and it's not her. Instead of she was really remind that there are some problems you ignored. Yeah, like we should wipe it more frequently as we can, like every after meal and after eat, and directly wipe out as dry trockene Waschbecken. and they have the results class service, and they have very different tabella because this like uh, millimeter effort, and it is like everything's have the electro program that can directly have the high function to solve the simple problem instead of they have this graduation. This table is about graduation, and I don't really believe that they sharing the similar topic and background, but since the university students and the classmates was certain, and they distributed to different courses, and so they could potentially using the same big database. For example, they have the big same big environment, right, in the things. And if I see Bolivia like 1994, and they have the master certificate, and then they have the ascendant here. I haven't measured, and then have yeah. And 2005, for example, Emmanuel, Professor Gus, and and the correlation is really high, so much more relevant. Suriname, Ecuador，厄瓜多尔，就是那个地理书上面的中学的时候的那个云，然后yeah, I was wondering this point, but yeah. 我也想起来，我很久以前我见过的那个，在屋顶上面住的时候，我见过那个蘑菇云，然后，那个蘑菇云，然后 mushroom volk，然后 afterwards yeah has big effect, but usually yeah not immediately, has some time delay effect. Okay, so Cuba and Peru and Ecuador and Jamaica, Haiti and Argentina, El Salvador，这个是行。这个是那个埃塞巴多，然后是我之前有3个月我租其他外面的一个房的时候，我和那个人合租了，他上一个房东他留下来的那个好像是羽绒服的，好像是羽绒服的那个袋子，然后上面写的是埃塞巴多，然后当时我是就2019年的时候，然后我是。be drive time， 然后就是 only 只能 focus on some word descriptions， 然后你对于现实世界的这个感知没有太强，然后但是你对于文献里面的那些字母你非常敏感，然后你限定理解力只是那些文字上面叙述的东西，然后这个在某一种程度上，然后决定你的这个reality， 然后 determine your reality thing from the literature。From the published works, so to say. And okay, cool. There are several graphics and the confidence interval and the across generations, intergenerational. And 这儿有一个深绿色的是 indigenous。我都没有查这个字，就是当地人、土著人，然后土著移民就 Einheimischer。然后，我自己的 my own understanding is that the children born with extreme talent, and because the television Garten they have this hotel that is blue indigenous hotel, like the children born with high intelligence and etc. So, but it's actually unheimischen. So the local people, as far as I understood, right, and top groups and systematic difference in fertility discussion and just the problem and what is the problem. Um, so comparatively speaking, that these countries that they have the lower percentage rate to express this kind of childbearing in the AFR estimators, and so that so that even that is significant, it won't present it at least like 20, like 82% in some, so that even you buy the remarkable hint, it won't have significant effect, and so that the remarkable was not really recommended to buy, and also because that remarkable's price is high, and so yeah. And inequalities and where that influence. I think the physiological effect is much more bigger than the financial influence. I think that, and here also gender-based and social-economic inequalities has been highlighted as key drivers of increasing marriage and preventing access to schooling attendance, restraining yeah, personally speaking, I yeah, I really don't know why docent Natalia uh La Casino why her course last year as well. Let's just not talk like last year course, but why she had the course always cannot avoid this suspect. Even she has a relatively high wage and very respective job, like teaching position or good university, and then why this topic still cannot avoid of, and even we don't considering some personal background and etc. So yeah, instead of she's too high, and the highest opposite is coped with this issue, and so otherwise I couldn't highly to think of. Okay, fine. So yeah, okay, national policies, and this today morning really in cafeteria I got really heavily be beaten, but that was from the before gay, and they carry a yellow vest of yellow, and but it's actually the first mandatory reading from the development economics, and that is national policies need to guarantee the provision of sexual education to both boys and girls, and increasing social and economic support, and deliver quality health services. So in a sense, how can you say about that? Like for example, your sitting position was in a guarantee the provision of, and you ignore the nearby sexual education, sexuality to both boys and girls haven't show up yet, but on the on the underground, the boys goes from the kindergarten, that with the North Face and other flags, and was showing up, and so they are exactly presented this kind of a discussion part of this article, and but the problem is that national policies need to guarantee the provision of sexual education to boys and girls, but they are destroy intimacy part. I really don't know, and this kind of theory, if it is not developed well, like last sheet, whether you do that opposite or you align your thinking and behavior, or you just do the opposite and behavior versus the reality happening. And in order to make in the near future that too real and which one is correct, that's still the question. But until this point be really solved in some precise way and exact way, and you won't make conclusion. And if you run this kind of simulation and programming, and always the last like 2 to 3% will be like wrong, right? So the things are always imperfect, and so that's a big problem. And to think back, okay, so if, for example, if for example, there is no if, okay, we don't have much more time, but we can discuss that later, but I really don't have interest in this topic. and and the 10th literature is for cafe and AV trends and etc. So yeah, that's interesting. But recently, I really saw less interpretations in the real, and they bring to like some propaganda underground, like propaganda woman, and so to say, and everything's fine, bright, and harmonized, and etc. And only good aspect presents, right? So and and otherwise is that deliver quality health services. And so today I also answered the question about the quality, quantitative economics, and like really that we can consider into purchasing about Flinka supermarket goods instead to go to your supermarket. But from my point of view, I still don't think that is the buying point, like the purchase point to the Flinka, because currently they are not grading, and but this month the presentation gonna happen like 17th, and so we need submit preference the day before over tomorrow, and the day before after tomorrow afterwards, so that in the recognition of the rights and capacities and etc. So from my point of view, I said I just let's think in this way. National policies was coming 2.5 times today. At the cafeteria, I was sitting in the 20 or 30 or 33. And behind me, like left side, if you turn the or left Klama and you so on, before Gay or the west of Yellow and the west of Yellow, that he is buying some ticket, checking the ticket. Okay, let's see. National policies in this context means the policies like Staatspolizei or the Bundespolizei, for example, in German, like national policies. But if we think that okay, the BVG also the control people, but they are not the state police, like they are not the Bundespolizei. Okay, vice versa. And here in this context, that they mean that national policy is the 政策. My God, my God, policies is the approval of the policy. Policy means that the government can accordingly to have some new rules and etc. So you directly perceive this kind of national policy as as some control people, for example. You think you should 2.5 times in order to present this kind of content, and you thought, okay, fine, let's just stop this because we still have the GCC course like grassroots governance in China. But from my point of view, I mean, sometimes you can think about what's going on, but the problem is that the national policies means that the policy and which from the government they have eingewickelt some new rules in their common conscious subconsciousness, in their common conscious in your policy in the paper and it's, but if you understood really wrong and you think that without national and its policies is the pullover about that, and so you think that is 2.5 control people from and in the backside. That's why it's so hard, and I really don't know why. And with this sister and the dusted energy was coming through from an intuitive mind of Guita, and I really cannot adjust that. And I don't know what's going wrong. And there are support like blue ground support, less rent company, and I haven't replied one message. I haven't replied her Nachricht, for example, but it doesn't matter. I will check that letter, and so when I have time. It's not very urgent, right? But like the right corner and they have the support. Support is exactly meaning in Chinese word that linguist policy, but it is too complicated. Deliver quality health services, but after 1/2 an hour, so you can think of about this like and etc. Okay, cool. And we go through this, and it's a not very difficult one, and it has one parameter gamma and three tables, and several stationary observationary point like filling out 我咖啡写 Sternzeichen graphic and etc. So fine, we'll find a second article to read. Moment. Yeah. Let's 哦天呐，三车子 consequence of teenager childbearing in Peru is extended school day reform and effective policy instruments to prevent teenager pregnancy. Yeah, yeah. 张飞 Okay, fine. So it's from Anna and Mata Favora. Um, okay, so 我们现在这个就 read a bit fast. Like Peru and etc. 秘鲁 and at page 16 there are effectiveness of extended school programs and theory of change and as yeah. Okay, data policy and pregnancies Africa. Okay, cool. So this article is about teenager born too much and how to finance it. Cool. If not to deal it for example. And for the readings. 这个一汪更简单，然后这个是，我们再看一遍，我把这个 size 放小一点。好，这个不能放小，就看这边。gender equality and conditional cash transfer. 这个呢哇。我的天呐。就是只能 increasing the educational level and in order to avoid this thing to happen, because that is very unpleasant to happen this kind of teenager pregnancy, because but within this article they really established some organizations within the recent before yesterday, and they established one young organization and in one party, so to say, and then they're really doing that good, and I think that they uphold the rights for the teenager boards, right? So if they can finance it, then why not? But the problem is that if they really have the teenager pregnancy, and within the article, from my point of view, is that the lack of knowledge, lack of the responsibility to the to the next life, and they don't have the educational system in this kind of sexual aspect, and need improved, and can only be if they have the low consciousness and kind of don't want to take responsibility and has the coincidence pregnant, and otherwise, if they don't really want to sacrifice their study or education, even a teenager age, like some high school level and etc., so they won't make that risky decision. For example, even they did really much understood what's actually really loved, so to say. And from my point of view, and so the increasing educational knowledge and is very necessary in this context. Okay, fine. I'm done already, and let's go to the another course, like grassroots in China, from the governance as from the governance aspect. Yeah. This weekend I almost go to the how to drink the green cafe. But I haven't, because we really don't have energy. I almost there. It's just one street difference. But I really carried a lot of things, and I feel like heavy. So I haven't went there. So this week, yeah, one problem is that before this week, the week 8 and the Genesis course already uploaded the literatures, and from last week, like after second day of last week, and it is predetermined, but I really think that罗布教授，我今天看到了，他说 finally he think that he yeah yeah 放心一点点了，他说，然后他就说然后我刚才我 just say week 8，然后我就发现12月2号的，其实他上周就传了这个文章啊 ，fleeting 的literature，然后呢，它里面有一个是彭王，然后因为那个税务教授他有一个那个 Chinese PhD，他叫那个什么彭什么什么，邓鹏还是什么什么，然后邓慧鹏还是什么什么，邓鹏还是什么，就结果就是因为然后他是好像博士已经毕业了，我们就不说这个了。但是呢，他这一个课程呢，他的这个第二个 literature，然后他那个这个 co-author is 王鹏 and 然后另外一个是王静怡，然后呢，他们的这个 title 叫 Companion Style Law Enforcement in China Causes and Consequences，就是他们的之间的一个因果关系 ，Criminology。我想说什么，我们 just search 一下它，然后如果我们可能的话，我们从第一个开始，然后就 companion style enforcement and regulatory compliance，这个 compliance 这个词 recently 那个 Boggles 那个抖参，然后他给我解释了很多，他说 compliance 它其实是恭维的意思，然后它不是那个。它不是抱怨的意思，然后它也不是抱怨和咒怨的意思，然后它是 compliance，它是那个，它也不是说是你在你食堂里面，比如说吃饭之后，然后你对它的一种，它也不是 forward，它也不是说是对你的一种投诉还是什么的，但是呢，它是它是对。它是，他说是一种恭维，或者是一种 say some good words to the high position person，让我觉得心里面很不爽，因为我理解这个词 regulatory complaints，然后因为是那个皮特毛教授的，他那个一直他就不停的是 tax complaints。他一直说的这个，然后我们之前那边住的餐馆，然后包括专业，他都是这样的。他是说他们的那个 compliment，然后在 after you eat something or at a restaurant and you don't think something's right, you start to complain about that, and so 他们一直都说是 complain about it， 但是不是 complain 的意思，它是 compliance， 可以查一下 tax complaint， 就是后来。又过了一段时间呢，我的 understanding 改了一下，就是那个 tax complaint 就是你觉得你的税交多了，然后什么什么，然后他们这两天有这么一个，就是Switzerland has a reform, so to say, and they are reforming the taxation system and to to tax rich, and so that the Switzerland, from my point of view, is a high currency country, and so it be said like every unit in a monetary meaning, in a monetary in the monetary part, in the monetary part and monetary part, so that it means that they are in each quantity better than euro, and and how to say that, like 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 yeah OK，他们就是反应慢一点，但是因为他们那个他们的那个币值比较高，然后所以他们的货币然后比较贵，然后呢，然后所以他们就是反应慢一些，因为每一个 unit 然后在 lift up 都要 expensive than euro， 但是另外一个方面的话是，只要他们 start running， 然后在第3个 unit 第4个 unit 上就跑不过他们了，然后因为他们的那个basis value， 然后就很高，然后所以在这种情况下的话，所以他们就是，比如说我们还在3个多月的那个hotel apartment 里面在那边在那边生活，然后他们的那个币值很高的时候，他们已经 perceive 到 super next 的一个place of living， 然后所以在这种情况下的话，我自己觉得就是他们这2天是tax rich， 他们的那个 word formulation is more easy and 就更einfach一些。然后呢，他就说，如果是要 tax rich 的话，有一个 tax difference 的话，可能在德国的话，你还在说 there are huge gap between the rich and poor, and for example, poor and rich, and income from the poor and rich. But in Switzerland, like this kind of high currency country, and they were already saying just tax rich, and if they have too big gap and etc. So let's just search for that. Now the time is 20:08. And the Bogos docent has 周雪光，一周就血光了，周星。Okay, fine. So it seems like from some林业大学呀的意思的，some 爱吃肉包的话。And so they like flag is the questions from docent Anton Bogos. And he left questions about what is company sale policy implementation, and I personally don't want to don't think it's difficult. And the policy implementation is the last week, like week 7, and what is company style? Companion style is like, which mentioned in before last week, like in the micro analysis Übung, and they have written about the new Bono and whether they break the glass haven't used before or they not broken, and the answer is 0 and 1, and there is only binary answer, and to whether do that or not do that, and it seems like so easy, and even you haven't done anything yet, and they're gonna directly without any excuses and break into the apartment and to throw your to broke anything. And so recently we got permission and into the Bono, and after we can transfer and etc. So the 2 actual Bono should be actual apartments should be dealt with, so to say. And what is the companion sale policy implementation? And we should find from the literature why are companions still used so frequently my point of view, a little bit recap from last year, that rural area, like urbanization and its topic, and linked to what's actually driven this kind of issues and led me to lived there before. And so yeah, from my point of view, is there has no internet. If there are no internet, so means that I couldn't in that time to keep live streaming, and I even upload the video in that time become like very infrequently, and so hardly think this way. And why continue sell use so frequently? Yeah, what are advantages and disadvantages of companions, and compared to alternative ways of implementing policies? Okay, let's just answer this question and stress those out three questions extra and to send before today's end. And now is 20 o'clock 11. Um, yeah, yeah, this disastrous, um, not disastrous, but destroyed most of my thinking pattern in academic area, so to say. And yeah, let's just read it. No need find is all here. So we got Liu and Peng. 这两个是单 literature，我们先读一下2015年的。就我上2周我都说不出话来，然后我感觉就是我有点像那个，对我以前 TP 的重孙那种感觉，我整个人我说不出来话，然后我后来发现，我去年就今年年初的时候也是一样，因为我们不是刚一块儿我们上一起的课，然后呢，我也发现有这个问题，就是它好像里面一定要有一章，然后是关于地的，然后所以我每一学期，我如果到这个时候，如果到中间的时候我来 present，哇，我就会遇到这种情况，我感觉我说不出来话，然后被卡的就反正被卡的很厉害。行，OK，let's go this article and don't talk that much. First, link 算了，我们直接看这个文章的主要内容。它是 Public Administration Review，济南 University 备忘和City University of Hong Kong and Polytechnic University，yeah。为什么这里有点 interesting？ 因为 Technical University that is yeah, that was my exchange friends in my exchange year in high school exchange, and she is from Hong Kong, and her name is Hu Ying, and so to say PY, and yeah. So City University, and let's just find companion style enforcement and regulatory compliance, and the EA still need to prepare it for tomorrow, so we got a lot of things to do actually, yeah. And Comparable speaking, I like complain about something more in some scary scene from a horror film, more instead of for anything that is compliment, and to respect to the complaints and啊，我的天呐，我的天呐，加了10分钟，不是加了10分钟，刚才不是20，我刚才不是2206，然后刚是10，我的天，我的 intimacy part 感觉又被划了一下那种感觉。So practitioner points. Like really, I today want to ask something about enforcement, but I haven't. And type is not important. There is strong political sponsorship and a company and TP's company and with a huge business tower and strong political sponsorship and effectively addresses the decoupling problem in regulatory enforcement.给我大概看一下。想一下。 我觉得是 digestive time, and after you eat, like within 1 hour, and which kind of position in your physical body will affect their attention, so to say, and then they will find the exactly physical position and to using that to beat your intimacy part, for example, to beat my intimacy part, for example, and we ate and sits already like near 1 hour 8 minutes, so to say, and so within this kind of the time distance and distance of time, and they will use that to beat intimacy part. It's usually like linked with the road length, and if you, for example, like walk from here to the university, if it's need like 1/2 an hour and until you arrive and sits, and so that it sits versus sits, so to say. And they will Yeah, okay, fine. So it means that when 有直立行走，然后他们就不伤害到你。但是你如果一旦坐下来的话，坐 versus 坐，然后他们就会 cutting you the part 就会 find your physical position and to this legitimacy efficiency conflict is the fifth department and reading with authoritarian's problem. And recently, a house manager was also coming around, and he still go to the 走廊 and to positioning same position and to say that is not okay. And he said, okay, if we speak it makes sense. Let's just say propaganda. Yeah, is that safe film? So let's quick go through. Okay, let's read another one. And so uh, OK，我实在看不下去了，我的天呐， 但是我们要尽快提出3个问题。然后第2个问题呢，我觉得应该是这样回答的，就是，我觉得应该是，我觉得应该是这样回答的，就是我看到这儿不禁的笑，因为那个他这边说是他这儿说 political elites sensitivity to social instability and 我的想法就是 heavy penaltism or perceived as top-down factors 。Exactly yesterday at the Google restaurant. Exactly 40 minutes ago. Like they are wait until the point which is cooked, and so that you can understand that the surroundings showing that they coming from tomorrow or the day after tomorrow and tomorrow. So it's really interesting because the social instability, I really don't think that even the sense high of the elite, political elites, and I don't really think that they could know that the social cannot stand stable like engineered moral panics and heavy penaltism, and which can be poor perceived as top-down factors and give rise to the anti-crime campaigns. Yeah. Okay, well done. And let's send the questions to Docent Abogos Antos. And because every before Monday we should submit our questions to this course. This is the bachelor course, but I need to accomplish my one extra module. It's extra, so afterwards it could be transmitted to 6 credit point, and it can also just maintain 10 points, but it potentially could count into the final credit points, but it depending on the exhibition office and the university staff and the system and etc. So let's just submitting our questions very wrote down. I really don't like. The reason is that yeah, it's fast but very low quality, I would say. OK, we're done. And 14725 加了10秒，我的天！1472535加10秒，然后这个是 YouTube Live 上面的。好了，我们去吃饭了，然后就先这样。 我们可以现在 review 一下 preview 一下那个 EA，但我觉得不是很 necessary，然后我就想休息一会儿，那就先这样。如果明天早上起来之后，我们大概 sweep 一下那个 PowerPoint，然后这两天还有个事情，然后就是我前两天给那个 Blue Ground 转账，然后不知道账到了没有，然后但是我这两天我尽快联系他们，因为我要把家然后东西搬过来，然后结果我觉得应该钱收到，因为我觉得 I lack something， 那种 like 700 euro and it's that feeling。然后，行，那我们就 stopping this state。然后，如果 tomorrow morning，然后我们 get fitted，and we can reopen us review preview a little bit fast then and what we do now is to see Libertax and to see Tagesh and I feel like I almost lost a lot of money, like €2 today, and let's just see the cryptocurrency list who is on the top, and the whole market is like red, and only several. Like Alex Makeup is positive today. I was waiting in the bus in the Admiral parts, and his notes was coming through like usual, like one Piro, and etc. That's so correct, and because usually our stores can only present in those kind of graffitis and etc. And I recent weeks like these two competitions, I was always into this like only this week. Last was something else from also RJ, and this week he has new TR conversation, and he's saying IPT and DMT and etc. And so usually I cooperated with my Russian neighbor in this way, like his thought if it is like 3B as well, like if it is above below, and I will do that in allowing the x axis way, and so that's really works because we cooperated for a long time, and usually we don't have the rules, and we just randomly do things. And when Landhaus Gunovat, for example, the red restaurant was called was calling, and the blue restaurant like La Casino was calling. La Casino usually not call because they are the more luxury restaurant compared to the Landhaus Gunovat. And Landhaus Gunovat was calling, and then they remind you this to do that already for a long time ago, and since Alex McLeod have the bachelor degree, so he can always running the SC second. But until I gain, and I am 5 to 6 hours, like 19 hours in etc. So that's really slow. And let's now just random see the see that tax roll today. Okay, guys, we're gonna first close the text because that was too vagina destructive, and so I log out. And why why Alice Makeup was why is that? Yeah. So according to the presentation timing changing or not, and I can potentially send today or before嗯，哎呀，我看一下那个就是我们的那个课程，然后它是几号吧，然后我有点不太确定。 怎么会这样？我的天！OK，we are currently read the 那个 econometric analysis 的那个 of government. I don't want to say any, but there are a lot of thing. Actually, the second is difficult. It's difficult, like mean square estimators of ordinary square one and of estimated beta for both DJP. And today the professor was asking for both, and you should mention Professor Steiner's name, and so that you have heterogeneous. So you have heterogeneous two vectors, but they are not. They are different, and so in this year, I think that only one vector and distributed to each, and so that you said I don't really want to mentioning, and if you like positive the word by word, then you will you will exposure that, and but otherwise it is like second one is like plot them together against the sample size n. Sample size n is not what in the first question mentioned, and explain how these graphs, but instead of using the graphics, and so there is no easy office, and so that this kind of question be designed a little bit slower than the dark one, like easy office with straining power and a lot of beaten of intimacy party, and because everything should in time, and there is no such situation happening. But Sowieso is a commercialized company, and their purpose is to earn money. It's not really be a university, and they don't need to. And so in this sense, so that they're using graphs instead of the fixed. So I think the financial meaning will be somehow reduced in a sense in the second of gap and related to the consistency of the estimator. Consistency is always one. In particular, I explain the reason for the difference of the two mean square estimators. So let's just look word by word, like compute MES, computing power, like clouding computing power, and this kind of a word compute can always exist in the context of computing, but computing it can only link with cloud computing, and as far in my acknowledged basement is only ODCAN and 3.3 the umlaut. Right, we once did the course about the monetary economics, and in that time of the COVID, and so everything's online, and seems like not very easy because it's multiple choice, and and then the mean square estimators, and they add with small s, and instead of meaning that it's just one, and of unbiased estimator of beta ordinary square and 1 and n. Bias, if it is if it is roof, then is bias is true value, so it's unbiased estimate of OLS ordinary square, and in the 1 and n for both DKPs. So DKPs can be derivative for general equilibrium of points. So that's kind of like Guadampi, and kind of like a teppich, and which you have the clue underneath, and so you can clip your teppich off the bottom, and then screw it, and then you'll find several sandom soup could long squares. Okay, sorry for my explanation, my limited word usage. And so plot them together against sample size so you don't know. And as the problem set in acknowledgement said that no one knows what is and how big is the sample size. It could be 2, like it could be 3, and it could be 3个, so to say. And so in this sense, we can potentially think that the question was be asked like this off-gap mu should dealing with 3 to should be dealt with the 3 classmates group, and so that in this sense you can just think that maximum sample size is 3, right? So there is 1.3 and 1.2, and the against, okay, there is no against, so you haven't saw the off-gap setting at last Friday. And here is interesting because the against is like as examiner office, but just don't mention in examiner office if you say something about examiner office that's really nervous, and you will think like something about forgay, and etc. When you have the differentiated minor and towards the towards their course instructions, constructions, instructions at all, and so that plot them together, and I wondering about in this that about the together and recent weeks, and I experienced a lot of times about together, and you can think that is Flink, the online supermarket with the cameras on the preference because color. And yeah, if I, for example, I purchase Flink and I can only enforce the Christian economics and I won't help this econometric analysis. They have different cost characteristics, but yeah, so they shouldn't say that. And the reason is that in last week presentation in the development economics in bachelor course, that they're saying just put them together, and I back home, and since this day I at least saw 2.5 times about this together shows in my real life, and then together against like AT and after tax and before tax, after tax that when you have some job employment and you AT after tax and together against, so ta but is not wood. And okay, here attention that is ta but it's not wood. So it's Marco Professor, right? So so that's why last week in the Hochschul Sport, and we are 鞠躬 towards, we are all bogan in other class Hochschul Sport and towards Marco Professor Ring. I was thinking, wondering, what they did wrong and why they feel like very good towards the unshined, whether it's like warm frosh and whether whether he bear too much for students or not, and it's those kind of thinking pattern. Sorry, there is no against the words any and who, and so plot them together, and usually I wondering is that the professor using the word usage T and T. So them and together T and T, you know that is the small paperback and you can buy it, but the reason is that before the double T and they use in the plot is triple T, and so you can think of this kind of high levels of Gamstellung and even 4T, even 5T. So there is not enough for example to solve this single problem if you buy 40 latz, for example. And so interesting. And in the first letter sentence of the of GAP set 2, they have the 5T. My God, 1 2 3 4 5. So that is 5T, and 5T is Fanda, right? And so that is in Europe Center that the Chinese restaurant there already should renovate or should move to another place. I don't know, but that is kind of the limitation point already. Okay, cool. And the sample size in a single sample size n is 3, and in a single, let's say is 3, and in a single figure. Okay, this kind of sentence in this data and breaks the entry pre-assumption, and we say that there is no ECL phase anymore, and so this kind of Gamstellung a little bit light, sober as the previous, which one I cannot remember. But the problem is that the single, as you guys know, that is a single apartment at the Fifth, right? And so every month, that is the lowest until now, they rent a monthly rent. That is 1,220 1,240 euro, and so that in this sense, and you guys know at least now is 131240, right? And now is that explain how this graphs. Okay, we haven't seen any graphs. we only know one graph at the extension office, and this student's graph, me, and yeah, whether two counts as or not, that's a problem. And related to consistency, related to, and so there is Fanda, Ekaterina Gobanova last semester, previous Miko Totorin, and RTT, and is AR ausreichend form of word usages, and so that is related to, and here is interesting, because it's a little bit hard to understand, like are gay, as you guys know, or you just say JR and is who's, and so that his name is directly in the off-government setting too, and so what that means. And recently he gave me some hint for example IPT and DMT, and IPT and DMT, and you can combine with this kind of six numbers, and then you have a lot of information is sufficient and to understand this kind of question of Gabenstellung. And then they explain how this that how this is triggering a lot of hatred energy, and the reason is that when we cross over the T-Platz, and so that you encounter the red light, and there of both the recent months they have advice like HT and etc. This motto explain how this motto related to one of the estimator, and the reason the problem is that consistency is always one. For example, like when we considering t is equal 1, and how this graphs and related to if we always stand in the left side, and while we are waiting for the red light, wait for the green light, and so that of the estimator is always unbiased estimator beta. And so we wait for the kindergarten children are crossing the road, for example, and explain how this graphs related to. So I still don't know where is the graphs. For example, graph can be the graph museum, like in the near from Zoologische Garten, and link with an interview the photographer in my exchange year in that time. Yeah. And he is now very professional, and explain how these graphs related. So where is the graph? The problem is if the problematics are linked together, and the graphs should be above, right? So related, but here is no TED, and here is no TED, here is no Julia, and so consistency could be 0 and 0 or 1, and this theta is a binary answer, and you can think consistency is 0, and if it is not TED, so there is no Julia, and if there is no Julia, then the consistency should be 0 and instead of 1, and so you estimate of this estimator, and so n could be 0, and the 1 could have no groups, and the 4 point in exam could be not important, and at least on the class 2.5 persons think that is not relevant, and so they can start from 90 some grade, 90 some points if they think that is enough, is good, and in particular, and then after the comma they wrote the and. I really don't know whether it's okay, but they wrote the is wrote and wrote the and in particular, and so the AP was above and below and recent days, and but I really don't know that between is an in is between and particular, and in particular, so that is Peter Mao professor, right? So that is Professor Mao, and because Ole he is especially in neuroscience, and every other professor's introduction or the website was all the short abbreviation and some formal name instead of the Peter Mao professor has behavior economics and especially in neuroscience. Okay, so in this sense, we know that, and in particular, Peter Moore professor and the Professor Arno Puma has corrected for the course, and so we think that it's linked with the door, right? The outside door and the tour also better not link in that way, not link like blink frequency and etc. because that was not passed, right? And so we think that the thermal cause in which they combine together and to have some microeconomics and etc. So this is trick analysis and explain the reason very introductory, and for the difference of the two MSCs. So there is two MSCs for both DGPs. DGP is not matter, and so only the color and etc. So what's the difference? Only the difference matters. Okay, cool. Disequilibrium and general disequilibrium, gender differentiated portrait points, for example, I would say, and in this sense, explain reason for the difference of the two MSCs. So the difference already existed, and you don't think what is actually the difference, and that's why answer today the question about difference in difference, this kind of estimated analytic method, and but explain the reason. The reason is important. Yeah, positive relevant related, positive related, and because there is only two ways. One is positive related and another one is negative. It's downward and upward slope of the graphs, and so this could be some other. There is not just one. Explain the reason for difference of two. So there is NPPN and so there is NPPN. Explain the reason for the difference of the two MSCs. Okay, let's assume in this way. And if there is negative and positive, the difference is that the cross section area. If there is parallel line between the two MSCs, for example, then the difference is only in the x-axis. If they are two parallel downward slopes, then the difference is only in the y-axis. And yeah, so you can guess each of them, and there is only three potentials and to choose from. And so from my point of view, and I will thinking this way, like explain how this word really consistent of the S matter. It's yesterday one TK professor was was with his children, and that was that was at least one is downward slope, and the related with okay, so let's just write the first question is that is that negative or positive of both how this graphics there is only two graphs relative consistency of the estimator, and I would say one is positive and one is negative correlated. So I mean, estimation of is Claudia is positive related and me is negative, because usually I do that not do not have the consistency in my real life, and so that usually I can only do the beginning and afterwards I fall asleep, which I awaken time is not that much. That's why. So I will write down my answer and discuss with the classmates, and I will say that is positive and negative related to consistency of the estimator, or both related. And in particular, explain reason different to MSEs, median square estimators, mean square estimators, and yeah, have job, have not have job. Okay, so there is the reason could be the reason for the difference of two mean square estimators. 这个可以查一下，我也不清楚，反正就是只是they link together. The second is tilde. Yeah. Okay, and the third question is simulate the search DJP and with the point in your COPF, and all set as equal, and give the economic example with an assumption of the third DJP are likely to be satisfied. Oh, there is no economic example, so we can do a simulation and make a abbreviated model as AB. For example, the NBP trigger in 2019, and we said as his home country is is with this equation presented equation, and then we say that then we transform all the debts to this economies, and then we get free from and to satisfy this kind of condition in y point. Yeah. Yeah, repeat the selection for DJP sign A. Write a loop, repeat this and size this in English. Monte Carlo simulations, my god, is very beautiful. The Switzerland lake is yeah 雷蒙湖嘛，然后还有就是 the effect is important, so you need to repeat the effect, right? So 等一下我看。Demonstration, the against is always symmetrical, consistent for all those three. Yeah, it's consistent. And explain your answer using bias and variance. equation is 一个。好了，seeing we are done. And we need a link now to copy it in the small notes. 我就说我的同学，我今天在 reread 一下那个 literature， 我怎么感觉他有点 discrimination the Africa people 呢 ？Africa is my Chinese name in Chinese character 。他真的有点 too why is this yeah 他真的有点太白了。然后就okay fine, so we close now and we're gonna fall asleep and so see you guys then. 哎呦我天哪！哎呦我天！我的鼻子的人中，然后一直在不停的被吸走那种感觉。但是与此同时，我也得到了很多的 quiet man, so to say. Yeah.